stream.
Make sure the microphone is turned on.
Yeah, it's on. It's on.
Remember what happened last time?
Yeah. Here we go. Alright, ready?
Go.
Okay. I gotta start a minute early. This is WKNH 91.3, and it is time for the best show on the radio to ever hit the airwaves. Yes, it is time for As the Reel Turns. And so I'd like to welcome our special guest. Would the special guest please come to the stage?
We're on, Robin. To the Batcave. We have a moment to lose.
Yes, indeed. Hooray for Hollywood. My name is Daniel Soletti, and this is As the Reel Turns. We are so excited to be back on the air, and we're excited to be doing this week's episode because it's a very, very fun episode. It's something that I hold dear to my heart because, big secret, I am this person. Yes, it is true. So today we're going to be talking about something that I think you all know and love. It is probably the second most famous comic book character in the world, but we're not necessarily talking about his comic book career. We're talking about his movie and TV career. We're talking about someone named... That's right, we're talking about Batman today. So Batman is probably one of the biggest characters of all time. He's had quite a career in films and television, and I'm ready to get started. So let's get right to it, where I'm going to, of course, introduce my favorite guest in the entire world today. I have right in front of me, diagonal to my right, or I'm sorry, to my left, I have Dylan. Say hello, Dylan.
You're not Batman.
And diagonally to my right, we have Casey. Hi, Casey.
Oh, jeepers, Batman!
Oh, I see Casey is totally getting into the Robin feel. I like that. So, gentlemen, are you ready to talk about Batman today?
Yeah. Oh, Batman. You good?
Yeah, I am good. I'm good, all right. All right, gentlemen, let's get right to it. Let's talk some Batman today. So yes, we're going to kick it off actually starting from the first time that we pretty much saw Batman on screen. And that was not really in the form of a, we'll say, movie, but more like in the form of a cereal. They made these cereals in the 1940s, and that's not spelled like a breakfast cereal. It's spelled Serial.
Are you telling me I can't eat it?
No, you cannot eat it.
Oh.
And so we're going to be talking first about the slightly unknown Batman serials of the 1940s. First starting out with the 1941 serial simply entitled Batman.
one crime fighter, Batman. Yes, Batman, clad in the somber costume which has struck terror to the heart of many a swaggering denizen of the underworld. Batman, who even now is pondering the plans of a new assault against the forces of crime. A crushing blow against evil in which he will have the valuable aid of his young, two-fisted assistant, Robin, the Boy Wonder. They represent American youth who love their country and are glad to fight for it. Wherever crime raises its ugly head to strike with the venom of a maddened rattlesnake, Batman and Robin strike also. And in this very hour when the Axis criminals are spreading their evil over the world, even within our own land, Batman and Robin stand ready to fight them to the death.
Okay, so now we have an idea of how that sounds, and guys, does that sound like Batman to you, or does that sound like the Batman you know, or does that sound like somebody's cheesy attempt at Batman, and if you say my name, I shall come after you?
Well, you already come after me enough, so it kind of sounds like you, but the one thing that sets me off the most, and we're going to get back to this later, is that they mention that they're going to fight criminals to the death. Not cool.
True. That is actually Batman's rule, that he does not kill, and that has been a staple of his, as far as I know, from his first appearance in 1939 by creator Bob Kane.
Unless you're Ben Affleck.
Unless you're Ben Affleck, and we don't talk about Ben Affleck too much.
But we will.
But we will. And so, that is it's a strange thing to see, especially if you see it visually. You can watch the entire serial on YouTube and stuff like that, but it just doesn't look like Batman too. He's in a very unique looking outfit. The ears basically make him look more like Satan than Batman. And
Well, I mean, but that's the point, though. He's to strike fear in his enemies.
oh, it's true.
That's one of his powers.
Oh, it's
his
true. Powers. But but let's be honest. Driving around in just a normal looking 1940s car is not the Batmobile, because that's what he drives. I kid you not. I have this and the follow-up serial on DVD, and you drive around in a regular 1940s car. That's not the Batmobile. And if in the comics you read, it's a similar car, but it just has his face on it.
What year is this?
This is 1941.
Yeah. It's the radio. It definitely sounds very 40s, very. I shouldn't say stereotypical, but it's, you know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
I
like
totally
all
get
the
it.
other cartoons, like a newsreel.
Yes,
It definitely
it
sounds
sounds
like a 40s
very much
newsreel.
like a newsreel, and that is kind of the things that's one of the things that makes it sound old, is that it makes it sound like a newsreel from the 1940s. This also stars Lewis Wilson as Batman, and he really doesn't give much of a Batman type of voice. He kind of just gives a normal voice, like what you're hearing right now, us talking. And that was pretty much the thing. And this was the first company to make a Batman thing. This was Columbia Pictures that was making these serials. And for some reason, it must have done something good, because it spawned a sequel, and this was before Joel Schumacher got a hold of this title. The sequel was brilliantly named Batman and Robin. So this was 1943 now, so this is only about a year in between the 1942 year. That song to me sounds more militaristic, if you ask me.
I mean, when you think,
what's your thoughts?
when you think about it, though, 1943, we're in World War II.
Yeah.
This is propaganda
Yeah.
to make, where America was strong. Batman represents the goodness, the powerful. So it's definitely militaristic, definitely American. Batman.
Yeah.
And it's not. I like it. And it's probably better than that Batman and Robin movie.
Well, you can say that if you want, but I mean, I think the movie may have a little bit more credit to it.
Well,
Just a
we'll
little
get
bit.
into that. in a
We'll get a
moment.
we'll get into that.
We gotta go defend that.
But and this one also changed the entire cast. We now have Robert Lowry in the role of Batman, and he does the same thing. He doesn't really change his voice. He just sounds more, he may just sound a little bit more serious if he talks to you. That's the only difference. We'll get into a voice comparison of the mainstream Batmans when we move on to our next incarnation. But Casey, your thoughts on this incarnation, just by what you've heard and what we've discussed lately.
I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't quite vibe with me on a Batman level.
This also has the same idea. He kind of has the Satan ears going on here, and if you watch this one, I think in particular, if I remember correctly, the ears angle out more, so it even makes him more look like they're like horns instead of bat ears. But they were. This was the age of the cloth outfit, trying to take from the comics, and that's what Batman was looking like.
And hey, look, you got guys in tights and underwear. You started off, and now you got Batman in a basically military like uniform, like Kevlar, body armor. So, I mean, come on, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, I totally get that as well. And so as well known, or as maybe not even well known, these serials were in the 1940s. This was one of the first incarnations of Batman. Like Robert Lowry and Lewis Wilson are the two guys you see first in the lineups of these live action, especially Batmans. However, after these two guys, you usually see one guy come around. Now, this was a guy who was willing to take on any role, and they said, look, we're going to do something here. Well, we have an idea to take something straight from the comic books. And when they meant straight from the comic books, they meant color, they meant humor, and they meant fight words. And when I mean fight words, I don't mean like insulting each other. I meant like pow, whack, kapow. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know where I'm going with this. The next incarnation we're talking about is the infamous, or as I like to think, famous, Batman 60s TV show. So yes, Batman, the 1960s TV show. What a popular show this was. And the reason I say it was popular is because you take something as serious as Batman, you read the comic books, you watch those serials, it was a superhero. It was comic book stuff, but it really wasn't, entertaining and funny. But now you have something that everybody tunes in to watch, and you look at it now especially, and you're laughing yourself on the floor because it's ridiculous. Dylan, you have something to say.
But also, you gotta look at it this way too. I mean, like adults, my father and my uncle who were into this stuff, they got to see their favorite characters on TV, and it was just basically a comic book now in motion, and it's cheesy, it's silly. Once again, you got guys running around in tights, but there's just some charm to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, I agree.
And it's not taking itself seriously either.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, and they know when something is going silly because you watch it and
Kapow.
And they'll do something ridiculous, and like here we'll give an example of something as ridiculous as this is, because this is one of the famous scenes that a lot of people are knowing about right now. This is Bruce Wayne, Adam West, who I also might mention was considered for James Bond at the time. Big ladies man. He's having a conversation with Commissioner Gordon, but he's also having a conversation with himself. This is Bruce Wayne talking to Batman, talking to Commissioner Gordon. Take a listen.
Chief O'Hara, this is Bruce Wayne. Mr. Freeze wants what?
Commissioner Gordon is on the other phone with Batman, Mr. Wayne. Perhaps if we put the two phones together, you could talk to him yourself.
All right, Chief, I don't have much time. Batman? Yes, Mr. Wayne. Have you heard Mr. Freeze's scurrilous demands? Just briefly. If Robin and I act as go-betweens, are you prepared to make the telecast at midnight and pay the ransom, Mr. Wayne? I have no choice, Batman. Then may I suggest you tape the broadcast from the Commissioner's office an hour earlier, and we will have a dummy package of money. A dummy package of money? That sounds risky. Risk is our business, Mr. Wayne. Of course, Batman, I have the same faith in you that all of Gotham City has. I hope Robin and I are deserving of it.
So you get the idea of what's going on there. It's very silly of what the things they came up with. And this was the show where everything was labeled. Everything had a label on it. It was Bat computer, Bat polls, Bat ladder,
Bat credit card?
no, not the Bat credit card. And everything had a label. And what he was talking to was the Bat phone. It's a famous red phone that blinks, and Alfred would usually answer it, and then Bruce and Dick would come in. This was also the first time where Robin kind of got a character to himself, and he had a lot of memorable moments. Some of them being him having a catchphrase, and that catchphrase was something, "Holy fill in the blank Batman," and it became a very famous catchphrase of his. And he had a lot of memorable ones, and these are some of his memorable ones right here. Let's take a listen.
Holy birthday cake. Holy headache.
Holy ball and chain.
Holy triple feature.
Holy slip disc.
Holy known unknown flying objects.
Holy hamstrings. Holy mucilage.
Holy rainbow. Holy Cinderella.
Holy homecoming.
Holy shrinkage. Holy bouncy butterfly.
Okay, they can get a little bit repetitive. I'll give you that. The thing is that Robin would usually say these. Robin being played by Burt Ward. He would usually say these when Batman and Robin were getting in trouble. They would usually end an episode where Batman and Robin were in this elaborate trap set by Villain of the Week, and usually the villain was a guest star of the day. It could be, I believe it was Victor Bono doing a villain only known to that series known as King Tut. Sometimes it was Milton Berle as Louis the Lilac, but also memorable villains like Cesar Romero as the Joker, Burgess Meredith as the Penguin, and your pick of Julie Newmar, Eartha Kitt, or in their one feature film, Lee Merriweather as Catwoman. So they would usually end the episode like, are Batman and Robin going to get out of this one? I don't know. But they usually do, of course, thanks to Batman's utility belt, and they save the day, of course. Dylan, you have something to mention.
Yeah, I just wanted to do a big shout out to Joe Galvin, Krypton Comics in Exeter. He got to meet, actually not meet, but he has an autographed photo of Batman and Robin signed by Burt Ward and Adam West.
Yes, and I'd like to give a 1 second silence for Adam West there.
It passed.
Yes.
However, gotta give Adam West a lot of credit. He parodied himself.
Yeah, he did not care. He loved this role. He knew he could never escape being Batman, which was something that people
Typecast.
He knew.
But he took it and ran.
He took it and ran.
In Fairly Odd Parents, he plays a character called Catman.
That's correct. Yes.
Family Guy, he's Mayor West. But you can still see the Batman.
Exactly.
It's
And he was a guy just having fun, like he said in on a Big Bang Theory episode. He was 100% pure West, and Burt Ward. This was one of his first big acting jobs. He was a competitive ice skater, and that certainly shows all his tumbles and leaps. So that helped a lot with the Robin character. But like I also mentioned, after the first season of the show, it ran for 3 seasons. After the first season, they made a feature film, and that included 4 villains: Joker, Catwoman, Penguin, and Frank Gorshin as the Riddler. And There were a lot of memorable moments, like Batman running through a sea dock with a bomb, saying, "Some days you can't get rid of a bomb." And also a very famous thing that has been mentioned and parodied through other Batman media, something having to do with sea life.
Hand me now the shark repellent bat spray.
That's right, the shark repellent bat spray. That's a staple in the Batman universe. And so this show lasted for 3 seasons, and after the first 2 seasons, they felt they needed something to add to the show, so they added something that has become a Batman staple, a certain relative of Commissioner Gordon. And that relative of his is his daughter, Barbara Gordon. And if you know Barbara Gordon, you know who she really is in the world of Batman. She is, of course... Batgirl, 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 Batgirl. Where do you come from? Where do you go? What is your scene, baby? We just gotta know. Batgirl, 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 Batgirl. Yeah, that's right. Barbara Gordon, also known as Batgirl. And they did a really clever thing in this show. They had Yvonne Craig, who was a dancer, play Batgirl in this show, Barbara Gordon. And if you know her from other things, except Batman and Robin, she's a redhead. And Yvonne Craig was not a redhead. She had the 60s beehive hairdo, but it was all black. What they did was they had Batgirl wear a red wig. Very clever. And she had her famous Batgirl motorcycle, and so it was great fun. Unfortunately, that was the nail in the coffin, unfortunately, because that was the last season of Batman, but that wasn't Adam West's last time playing the role, because fast forward to the 21st century, Warner Brothers Animation made 2 animated movies, one called Batman and Robin, Return of the Caped Crusader, where they played animated versions of themselves.
Was it like a comedy?
Yeah, it was a comedy. It was a full-on animated feature. It was great. Julie Newmar returned as Catwoman again. And they made a second one where Adam West's Batman finally went up against Two-Face, and in this incarnation, Two-Face, Harvey Dent, was played by William Shatner, Spock. Yes, so Bill Shatner played Two-Face, and it was a lot of fun to have him play that. They also made a special before those.
So one Batman reunion.
That's right.
Batman
That's
reunions.
right. Before those animated films came out, there was a special called Adam and Bert Back to the Batcave, and it was like, Adam and Bert playing themselves. It was a totally goofy thing. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube and online. It's really funny if you get a chance. So this was the latest incarnation of Batman. Everybody loved him. Everybody respected him. Everybody enjoyed this version. However, there was something coming in the Batman universe, especially starting in the comics. There was a big dark cloud coming over the bat symbol. And when a big dark cloud comes over, that means something's about to get a little darker. Darker. And so we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the next incarnation, which is the quad Batman film quad, basically the Batman quad, I call it, yeah. Quadrilogy, thank you, that works. And so we're going to talk about the dark Batman films when we come back.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he's just letting you know you
Don't
did
forget,
Bear
Congress
hug
Schmidtlau.
from Smokey
Oh,
Bear.
yeah, Congress Schmidtlau.
Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure
You're
way
live,
to
by
put
the
it
way.
out. Learn how you can do your
You're
part.
live, by the way.
SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
A ranger station.
I'd like to
that sound means. That sound means we're back. So, if you loved, so we're back with As the Real Turns. I'm Daniel, as the host of As the Real Turns. I'm here with Dylan and Casey. And as much as I loved Adam West as Batman, I have his movie, I have his series, I love it to death. But the one problem is that it's almost maybe too campy at times. Maybe
Just a little.
Just a little. We should maybe try something a little bit darker.
The good thing is, though, it's not taking itself seriously.
Exactly. So, come the year 1989, and enters a director by the name of Tim Burton. Now, Tim Burton is a guy who loves darkness and weird. So, when his name came up and said, "Hi, I'm directing Batman," people thought, "Uh-oh." And he said, "I want to make it dark." They said, "Uh-oh, but okay." Warner Brothers was on board with this. Everyone was on board for it. But they were a little bit questionable when he said, "I have the guy who's going to play Bruce Wayne in Batman, Michael Keaton."
You mean the guy from Beetlejuice?
The guy from Beetlejuice, who was already a Burton Keaton film already. So people were questionable. But if I were me, I would say, "Oh, well, Keaton's a comedy actor. Maybe this will be like Adam West." It was not like Adam West. This film brought in the Batman that people knew from the comics of the day, from the comics of yesteryear. And there were protests when this movie came out. They were saying, "This is not Batman. This is not the Batman I watched." And that's because it isn't. It's a different Batman. And I was very pleased to watch this movie for the first time just a couple weeks before school started. And I gotta say, I like this movie, and it really is good. It takes a different look into Batman. It takes a different switch on Batman, but it keeps the humor alive a little bit, which is something they really don't focus on in later years.
And it's the Batman we know.
Exactly.
That we're used to.
Exactly.
Yeah, mostly.
Fair enough.
But like, we didn't grow up watching the 60s Batman series. This is like, we're used to, Christian Bale and the darker, more realistic Batman. But there's still
I mean, if you've seen this movie, you know that Jack Nicholson literally steals the show. Like,
Oh,
the movie
of
could have
course.
been called Joker.
Nicholson actually got top billing, I believe, above Keaton.
Let me
and
take
the
a
most
look at
pay.
that.
Yeah, and because Nicholson was the Joker. This quadrilogy nailed the villains in every single film. The Batmans may not have been everyone's cup of tea, especially in later films. But you have to agree, at least in this and the sequel, Michael Keaton amazed everybody.
And also, he's a bit older Batman, too.
Yeah.
He's not like a younger.
I mean, just take a look at his first on-screen appearance here as Batman. Take a look. Take a listen. I love that, and that Danny Elfman music coming in there with the Batman theme of the movie. It is so good. I love that. The thing is that yes, Jack Nicholson really does steal the show with his Joker, and he does a really good job. He's a really good Joker. But you listen to Keaton as Batman there, and then you watch him as Bruce Wayne, and he's a very lighthearted Bruce Wayne. I think he's very smooth and goes with it.
But he's also a little bit awkward. He's sort of like, he's tapping into more of what like a normal person who might have like been an orphan, been secluded for most of his life, had a rich upbringing would be like. He's jovial, but you can tell he's not always like
he's hurting underneath.
Exactly. Yeah. In fact, you mentioned he's hurting underneath. Take a listen to this clip here where he is with his girlfriend Vicky Vale, played by Kim Basinger, and Nicholson as Joker. Take a listen to this.
Dance with the devil in the pale moonlight. What? I always ask that.
That line is iconic.
Yeah, those lines right there, Nicholson's Pale Moonlight and Keaton's Let's Get Nuts line are perfect, and they're so much fun. And yeah, that was Kim Basinger. You just heard that light screen there. That's her as Vicky Vale. And Bond fans might know her as well as Domino from the god-awful Never Say Never Again. Who, Dylan, did you know that has not Donald Pleasance and not Telly Savalas and not even Charles Gray? It has Max von Sydow as Blofeld. Yeah. If you listening last year,
That's a running gag now.
Yeah, there it is. There's our Blofeld gag.
About what we were saying about Batman, like, you know, not being all there. I mean, when you think about it, Batman's who he is. Bruce Wayne is the costume and the mask.
And this Bruce Wayne isn't terribly handsome as well. I mean, you know, Adam West was a symbol. He was gorgeous, but
he's also older too.
He's older, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's maybe like in his 30s or 40s. He's an attractive guy, but like
exactly.
Yeah.
So this film was big. It had such a big part. And you know, this was a new look on Batman. The Batsuit was even different. It had an element that was used in all these movies called the Bat Turn.
The Batmobile had guns now.
I
don't like that.
Yeah, the Batmobile was different, but it was great. And the Bat Turn is fun because all the actors in the Batman suits could not move their neck, so it's like they're moving their waist, and it's actually fun to do because you really feel like you're creating a new type of character, and it's fun. So this film was big, and so come the year 1992. Now 1992 was a different year because as big as this film was, Burton, being Burton, wanted to do something darker. He was originally not going to do anything, but when he was signed on, he said, well, I want to make it darker. And Keaton really wasn't too keen on sequels, but they did it anyway, and so we get 1992's Batman Continues. I'm sorry, Batman Comes Back. No, I'm sorry. Help me out here, guys. What's it called?
Returns.
Batman Returns. Thank you. That's what it's called.
Batman 2.
Batman 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
Is this Elfman again?
Yeah. Yes, so Batman Returns. Dylan, what was your proposed name for it?
Batman 2.
Batman 2, that's what it was called.
Electric Boogaloo.
That's what it's called. That's what it's called.
This is full Burton.
This is the Burton Batman film. I mean, Batman 89 was, you know, just a dark Batman film. This is the Burton Batman film.
Almost literally. There are two producers on this film. One of them is Burton. The other is Denise Denovi, who was not a producer on the first film. In fact, neither of the producers returned.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's like almost like shifting out what I'd assume to be the WB crew and moving in Burton's own crew. And you can tell just looking at this movie, it's weird.
He's the auteur.
It is weird.
He's the auteur of this film. He just didn't write it, but he had it.
But I say again, like I just said with 89, and that's what we'll call the first one. We'll call it 89. This film nailed the villains once again. We have Michelle Pfeiffer as Michelle. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting your name real quick. Could you give us a quick reminder for us, please? Thanks. That's what it is. Thank you. Yeah, she plays Catwoman, and then we also have one Mr. Danny DeVito,
The Trash Man,
also known as the Penguin. Oh my gosh, these villains are amazing.
I mean, they're still really good and they're fun to watch, but I think I will always prefer Nicholson's Joker and then later on, like, Ledger's Joker and Hardy's Bane to these two. And I don't quite know why. It's just...
But you can't say that these two, especially DeVito, nailed it.
Oh, no, not at all. I would never say that.
They were cast perfectly.
Especially DeVito. I think, like, DeVito's portrayal here influenced how the Penguin has been portrayed since in a similar way to Nicholson and Joker.
And really, there haven't been many other Penguins after DeVito.
No,
He never appeared.
Not in live action.
not in live action, really. No. And
when you think about it, once again, DeVito, like, he fits the mold of the
he
Penguin.
does.
So
He really
well.
does.
And this is a weird movie.
It is.
It is so weird.
It is so weird. If you loved '89, then you'll watch this film and you'll say, it's good, but what the heck was that?
I also want to bring mention to the fact that they got Christopher Walken.
Yeah,
in
Christopher
this movie.
Walken is in this.
It's like, I don't know. I feel like it was just when he stepped on set, the entire thing just got turned up to 11. Because now we've got Michelle Pfeiffer being revived by cats. Danny DeVito is out there like
raised by penguins.
Yeah,
and now look, has webbed hands and a nose.
And
Oswald Cobblepot.
And just it all became so like Burton. It was like entirely Burton's take, as we were saying. He is the auteur, like you said. There's not many other ways to put it because it's such an accurate description of this film.
Yeah, and I mean, there even is some reminiscing allegory similarity between this film and some things from Adam West, because Penguin is running for mayor in this movie. Penguin also ran for mayor in an episode of Adam West. So there is some connection in there. And these guys know, especially the villains, they know that they have to live up to that series.
Mm-hmm. Y'all remember that scene where Penguin was driving the Batmobile remotely with an arcade machine?
Which is the Batmobile itself.
It's so weird. It's so weird.
It is weird, and I mean he's biting guys' noses off.
Oh my god! Don't even.
And Michelle is scraping people's faces with her claws.
She has 9 lives, literally.
But let's remember something about this movie. I give especially Pfeiffer all the credit in the world, because as bad as Michael Keaton had to do his back turn in his outfit, poor Michelle Pfeiffer was vacuum sealed into that skin-tight outfit.
Was she really vacuum
sealed?
This explains so much.
And she could hardly breathe in those outfits. And she's doing those cat moves. So I give her all the respect in the world for doing that. And for... there's a scene, she breaks into a jewelry store. She's jump roping with her whip. That's amazing.
I have to say this. I think Michelle Pfeiffer is Catwoman.
I really do. Yeah.
Not Anne Hathaway, not Eartha Kitt and all that. Like, she is Catwoman.
I would have liked a perfect from Pfeiffer. That would have sealed the deal for me. But but that's okay.
I think
not Halle Berry.
Oh no. Oh, we don't speak of Halle Berry's Catwoman.
I think I'll get to this later when we talk about The Dark Knight Rises.
Sure.
But you're right. Michelle Pfeiffer is Catwoman. I like what they did with Hathaway there. It fits that movie just like Pfeiffer fits this movie.
Yeah.
But if I were to pick one, it would be Pfeiffer.
Oh yeah.
Pfeiffer.
I don't think Hathaway was a bad Catwoman at all. She was perfectly cast.
Oh yeah.
It was just that when you think of Catwoman, I immediately think of Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
Not Halle Berry.
Not Halle Berry. No. Yeah, it's you're right. It's a weird movie, but it's still a Batman movie. It's still a fun movie, and
unfortunately, this weirdness worked against it.
Unfortunately, Burton said, okay, look, guys, I really want to stop here, and he stepped down from director to producer for the next film. And he gave the directing job to a gentleman known as Joel Schumacher. Now, Joel Schumacher has done some memorable things in the past, such as Lost Boys and the film adaptation of Phantom of the Opera, except for the fact of Gerard Butler being in it. But when it comes to Batman, it's iffy. And you'll find out why I say the word iffy when we come back from a public service announcement. To play us out, however, here is the actual trailer for Batman Returns, and you can even hear the darkness in that trailer.
I think we need to pick up the pace a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
I mean, you can go a little.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
And I can always restream it too.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi. I'd to report a bear hug.
Okay.
Well, before I left
I
my
got one
campsite,
thing I want to mention
was
about
sitting
these
on my fire,
movies.
and out of nowhere,
Two.
Snoopy Bear showed up
Actually.
and hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you
The
stirred
entire
it.
production.
Drowned
You guys
it
are just
again.
supposed to do Schumacher?
Yeah.
That it was cold.
Oh, yeah.
Wave to the people.
Oh yeah. He likes when people correctly put out their chances.
So,
He's pretty big on Wildfire.
in between Returns
He
and
just
Forever,
let me know you did
the
good.
entire production crew, barring Burton as producer,
The hugger.
changed.
Okay.
I just got a bear hug from
Tim Burton was
Smokey
still
Hi,
Bear.
Steph.
Status update.
Alright, I'm gonna let you go now. I've got a lot of
Hey,
ranger stuff to do.
That's my thing.
That's
Oh,
There's
shit,
many
yeah,
ways to
I
start
had no
a fire.
idea
One sure way to
we're
put
sitting
it out.
over there.
Okay.
Learn how you can do your part. SmokeyBear.com.
And also, I want to mention
You can create
Akiva Goldsman. He
Akiva
was
Goldsman?
Sponsored by
Yeah.
the
Academy Award winner.
Here we go, here we go.
And your state
also
forester.
Razzie winner. I want to mention him.
It's jazz hands.
All right, we're back on As the Reel Turns. My name is Daniel. This is our Batman episode. I would like to, of course, welcome back Dylan, Casey, and now we have my friend Christy. Christy,
Hello.
say hello.
Hello there.
All right, welcome back to the show, Christy. So, yes, in 1995, there came the new director, Joel Schumacher. Now, Joel Schumacher, like we said, did some good movies, but when it came to Batman, it was iffy. The reason we say it was iffy was because Batman Forever.
It's not completely his fault.
It's
though.
not his fault completely.
And
No.
Burton wasn't gone yet.
He wasn't
still-
gone. Yeah, he was still in the game, but
I actually kind of liked this movie. I didn't mind it very much.
see, I was talking to a few people one time, and they said this is the film that killed it, not the next one to come. But the reason they said it was because of the star. The star being one Mr. Val Kilmer.
Iceman.
Yes, and Jim
Top
Carrey.
Top Gun.
Oh, Top Gun. Yes. Yeah, and Jim Carrey as well as the Riddler. And I say again, they got the villains right because it's hard to beat Gorshin's Riddler, but Jim Carrey, he puts in a good performance.
And why is Harvey Dent white now?
Yes, that's
Yes,
one
good
problem that I'd
question.
like to say is that Harvey Dent made an appearance in '89, but of course he was played by Star Wars man Lando Calrissian,
Billy
also
D.
known as
Williams.
Billy D. Williams. There was a race change involved here, and now we have Tommy Lee Jones completely gotten rid of Harvey Dent, and he's now Two-Face.
Could you imagine a movie that had Billy D. Williams as Two-Face in it, though?
I'd so be down for that.
That would be really good.
Casey, you wanted to mention something about Batman Forever here.
Alright, so just a minor note. Between the first two, the Burton Batman movies, as they're colloquially called, and the Schumacher movies, if you look at the production crew, there's a huge flip. The only person that stayed on between the two was Burton himself as producer, and he even left before Batman and Robin.
Right.
Additionally, one of the writers for Batman Forever, and then the only writer for Batman and Robin, is Akiva Goldsman, who has written some good movies. Some of them award winner, Cinderella Man, but also screwed up way too much. Dark Tower. Enough said.
Okay. I quickly want to mention this is that you can already tell that it's going to be a more lighthearted film straight from the opening of the movie because you see first Kilmer suiting up as Batman and then he delivers this line. This is seriously his first line in the movie after Alfred asks him this question. Take a listen.
Can I persuade you to take a sandwich with you, sir? I'll get drive-through.
Okay, so we can already tell that it's going to be more of a lighthearted film because he said that line, and it is because we have lots of fun colors in this film. Schumacher brought in a different, like I said, colors, but also composer, as you heard as we came back. That was Elliot Goldenthal, who not a bad for Batman theme, I think, not bad.
And speaking of lighthearted, I'll be 100% honest. I was a little late to this, but definitely lighthearted because I'm not kidding you. I saw Batman Returns when I was like 5 years old, and
Right.
it scared me.
Yeah.
I only remember the two origin of Penguin and Catwoman, and Penguin's scary. Now
Oh, yeah.
this is all jokes and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of jokes in there, especially from Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones. But like, take a listen to what Jim Carrey says here when Batman crashes through a ceiling. So you can already tell it's going to be more lighthearted. Also, but the Batman turn retains the same, and throughout this quadrilogy, you said some of the people stayed on, Casey, but the two actors that stayed on through all four were Alfred himself, Michael Gove, and Pat Hingle, who was Commissioner Gordon. This film also introduces Robin for the first time, and Robin is played by NCIS star Chris O'Donnell. And you can take a listen to hear how Kilmer sounds and the introduction of Robin, Dick Grayson becoming Robin here. Take a quick listen. Both.
Bushy Taylor. I took the liberty, sir.
What's that stand for?
Robin. Riddler and Two-Face can make a pretty lethal combination.
Yeah, Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones.
Against two or better odds.
I can't promise I won't kill Harvey.
A man's gotta go his own way. A friend taught me that.
Not just a friend.
A partner.
So yeah, I mean, there is a voice change there. I mean, he's trying to do his best to do a deep voice there. It's not the best. It's different from Keaton. But what actually Robin said there was true, how they can be a pretty lethal duo to themselves. Tommy Lee Jones hated Jim Carrey.
And they were trying to out-ham each other.
Exactly.
Nobody can out-ham Jim Carrey.
Yeah. It's true. It's very true. But
They made it fun.
Oh
I'll
yeah.
say that.
Oh yeah.
And I just want to say, I don't want to sound politically incorrect here, but Jim Carrey kind of comes across as gay the whole movie.
Yeah, he's a little
very
over the top at
flamboyant.
times.
Well, Joel Schumacher is also gay.
Yeah,
so
they-
probably
there's
nothing
some
wrong
over the
with
top
that,
there,
but
yeah.
it's lighthearted.
The other thing is that this movie does have one of my favorite Batman lines here, oddly enough delivered by the jerk himself, Val Kilmer. But take a listen real quick. This is a funny line.
That's not a beeper.
Well, I wish I
When's
could
the
say
line?
that my interest in you was purely professional.
You're trying to get out of my cape, Doctor.
A girl can't live by psychoses alone.
It's the car, right? Chicks love the car.
How can you not love that line?
Pretty
and-
easily.
Yeah. The woman in there was actually Nicole Kidman. She stars in this movie as well as Batman's love interest.
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman.
Yes, it is. She's gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
I forgot of that.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that was Nicole Kidman.
So
Wow.
this one actually worked for some people. It worked. People were willing to let it pass because, you know, you look at even the Christopher Reeve Superman series, the third one was the goofy one. So maybe this is a thing right now. But Kilmer thankfully did not return. The only man left standing was Chris O'Donnell. Robin can't be Robin without Batman. So we gotta get a new Batman. And when we get a new Batman, we'll get Batman and Robin. Somebody write that down real quick. That's a great name for a movie. Batman and
no.
Robin.
Is it ranked gonna be after this?
We have to watch this movie.
Bad.
Okay, so where do we start with Batman and Robin?
It feels like it's 3 hours long and it's barely 2.
So
It's considered one of the worst films of all time.
George Clooney is not Batman at all.
He might not be Batman, but he put in a good Bruce Wayne performance, I think.
Yeah, but that's one half of the equation.
True.
You're just sighing.
Christie is sighing because we'll get to his opinion in a little bit. But yes, this came in 1997. This was the first film. This was the first Batman film to not have Burton involved in any way. And I believe, Dylan, if this is correct, this film was made for toys.
Yes, I'm going to defend Joel Schumacher here. Well, what happened is, and I'll make this quick, you know, first two Batman movies kind of dug, Tim Burton style. Joel Schumacher gets hired to make it more lighthearted. Unfortunately, come the fourth movie, they just want to sell toys.
Yeah.
So there's costume changes, there's, you know, lightheartedness, campiness. There's too much, I can't say it quickly, but this is not all Schumacher's fault. He even said he wanted to do Batman Year One, a darker adaptation, but no, the producers were like, no, we gotta sell toys.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm gonna defend Joel Schumacher as well. I'm gonna defend him because I think he was going for combining Burton films with Adam West, and the mixture just did not work out correctly. It sounds good on paper, but put on film, it just didn't work out because we'll quickly play a few clips here in a row just so we can move things along real quick. But if you listen to the dialogue if you listen to the dialogue that Clooney says, you'll hear the problem there. And the problem being is mainly his voice. His voice just didn't have the right sound. And so, George, would you give us a impression of your Batman voice, please? Thank you so much.
Long.
Freeze! You're mad. This capsule explodes and will slaughter thousands. Who invited you? I thought you were going to stay in the museum, round up some thugs. We have to blow up this rocket before it turns Gotham into a crater.
Yes, it's my rules. My rules that keep us alive, and if you want to stay in this house and on this team, you will abide by them. Zedeth is freezing technology.
I want a car.
Homicide maniac.
Me?
Taking you back.
Chicks dig the car.
So you hear there that he's not really trying at all. He's just delivering a normal voice, but that's kind of what Adam West was doing too. He was just delivering a slightly deeper, regular voice.
And when it comes to George Clooney, he sounds like, you know, the typical playboy, rich kid.
Uh-huh.
He's Bruce Wayne. Unfortunately, I just see Bruce Wayne.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't see Batman.
Oh yeah. I mean,
And once again, in this movie, I think everyone was perfectly cast. It's just the movie was not.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And I mean, however, again with the casting, the villains were spot on. We had Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, great casting there. And then we also had a gentleman known as Arnold the Terminator Schwarzenegger, yeah, as Mr. Freeze. And I think he just had a ball with this movie. And if you don't believe me,
Conditioners left me cold to your pleas of mercy. In this universe, there's only one absolute. Everything freezes. You're not sending me to the cooler. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! Can you feel it coming? The icy cold of space. After you're frozen.
how much fun can you hear him in his voice there? Come on, give him some credit.
He's having fun, but
I mean, the movie itself is funny like that. You can make some great memes out of it. But my biggest problem is just that it feels like it's 3 hours long. So you're sitting there and watching it, and it doesn't end.
Oh, and one quick thing about the villains. This is the introduction to Bane.
Yes.
And
Oh, I forgot
and
about
they
that.
did not do well at all.
No, but at least they got the idea with the poison.
Yeah,
Venom, they scored with
They
Venom.
got that right. Yeah.
They got Venom right. Nothing.
They did not
One thing
do
they
well
did
with
not get
Bane.
right in this movie is Batgirl. This is the first movie live action.
So far, the
seen
only.
as
Yeah.
Batgirl, yeah, in the movies. And she's not played by Barbara Gordon. She's played by Barbara Wilson, who is Alfred's daughter. And she probably has one of the best introductions in the Batman universe. If you don't believe me, Clooney, would you like to explain what I'm talking about?
I know. And you are?
Batgirl.
That's not awfully PC. What about bad person or bad woman?
Bruce, it's me, Barbara. I found the Batcave.
We gotta get those locks changed.
She knows who we are.
Guess we'll just have to kill her.
Yep, we'll kill her later. We have work to do.
So yes, that's Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl. Weak, I think, just like the rest of this movie.
Bruce, it's me.
It's me,
What?
it's Barbara.
She's just so stiff.
Yeah, very stiff. But I think we've said enough about this movie. I think we should get somebody else's opinion on this movie. I think it's time that we had somebody rant about this movie. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for another edition of Christy Rants.
Batman. Great character. I love all the enemies he has, and most of the things he's been in. Not everything. Let me just start off quickly with the Batman serials back in the 40s. These days, nobody's got time to watch them. Over 4 hours long in total. No one's got time for that. I'm sorry, I've just got to say it. I'm sorry, serials, but nobody's got 4 hours to spare. I'm sorry. But let's get to the Schumacher Batman movies. Ugh. Batman Forever gets spared because I really liked it. But what is up with the bat nipples that carried on over into Batman and Robin? Why did you put nipples on the Batsuit? Are you kidding me? But also, Batman and Robin. Ugh. Really? Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze? With all of his ice puns? Allow me to break the ice. Let's kick some ice. Really? Are you serious? You really have to just put in all these puns to make up for it? But another thing, like all these colors and all these, what were they thinking with all these colors in this completely incomprehensible plot? I really hated this movie. It was terrible, and I hated it. It was bad, and I hated it. That's all I can really say now about this movie. Oh, and Daniel, quick question. You ever have a crush on any of the characters from the Batman movies? Huh? I had to do it.
Okay. Just because we mentioned the celebrity crushes last week does not mean I have anybody in this franchise, including Batgirl herself.
Show's over. It's the Daniel roast now.
Yeah.
Another thing, I agree with Casey. This movie goes on for way too long.
It's so long.
Well, thankfully, there was a guy named Christopher Nolan who decided to bring Batman out of this low point he was in, and he decided to start a brand new trilogy. And he starts out with something called Batman Begins.
An origin story.
A good origin story. For once.
Simmer. And James Newton Howard.
So yes, Batman Begins starts out the Dark Knight trilogy, and we now have Christopher Nolan as Batman. Now, Christopher Nolan, I'm sorry, not as Batman. We have Christian Bale as Batman. My mistake. In Christopher Nolan's version, and Christian Bale, I gotta say, not my favorite, simply because of the way he does his voice. And if you don't believe me, well, I.
Kill you. You wrap this cage. To get things moving, someone like you, someone who rattle the cages. Great poison, terrible psychotropic hallucinogen. Panic-inducing toxin. I'm wearing hockey pads. If I get him to you, can you get him to Tom? You wanted me. Here I am.
What's up with the voice there?
Daniel?
Disguises.
Yes.
I love you.
Hey, it is explained in the suit. There is a voice changer, so it is excusable. There is an explanation.
Yes.
I know it doesn't sound authentic, but
Well,
there is a reason for it.
I've actually never seen Batman Begins. Defenestrate me.
Okay, fair. No, that's
should.
fine.
I should though. I've
Somebody
seen the
get
Dark
that
Knight.
man a throat lozenge.
Yeah, pretty much. Christian Bale would bring this throughout his 3 movies. He would start out in Batman Begins with the facing up against the Scarecrow, the only film adaptation of that villain I think we've seen. And then we also would get in the
Ra's al Ghul.
Ra's al Ghul. Of course, this would all make a huge deal of itself in 2008 when The Dark Knight comes out, the sequel. Probably, I think, what was it? Highest grossing superhero film?
Yeah, number 4 on IMDb.
At least, yeah.
Literally the best superhero movie of all time.
We bring back the Joker, who we haven't seen since '89. This time played by Heath Ledger.
Rest in peace.
Well deserved Oscar.
I don't know why you guys are being so serious about it.
Why not?
Why so serious?
Why so serious? That was his catchphrase throughout the movie. A very dark interpretation of the Joker.
Oh, but so good. This was like absolutely what drove the movie forward.
Yes.
It's true. I mean, there are some questionable parts about him I have, but I think he definitely has a good look for Joker. That's all well and good. I'll give him that. And this did also continue into Dark Knight Rises. Dark Knight Rises had the villain known as Bane. We have Bane come back. And I think we can best explain Bane's voice through this. How it should have ended.
For watching, Gotham. Subscribe to your hero. Special thanks to Max and Dan from the Creature Hub, who supplied their voice work. Watch some more videos, and please leave us a comment so that we can know you.
Understand you!
What's that?
Move the microphone away from your face!
Move the microphone closer to my face? Is that what you said? Good night, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what people were saying to Bane. We can't understand you.
Yeah.
Though I think Tom Hardy did a good job.
Yes, that is Tom Hardy, otherwise known as Hello, Jean-Luc. Yes, Shinzon from Star Trek Nemesis.
He's also Venom.
Venom, yes.
I also will say Dark Knight Rises, good movie, but there were a lot of inconsistencies and there were some plot holes.
Yeah. All right.
But you know what? It's a good wrap up, and also, not really, but yes, it's also kind of the reboot of Robin, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
True.
John Blake.
John Blake.
John Blake.
We are just about out of time. I quickly want to run through these last couple Batman things. First of all, the probably the best, next to Adam West's TV show, there's another popular Batman incarnation television show, that being Batman the Animated Series of the 90s. This one had Mr. Kevin Conroy as Batman, probably one of the most famous incarnations, and he definitely shows himself as Batman when he says this. So that's got to be, that really sounds awesome. He's a great Batman. He's like the official voice actor of Batman. He's done 1,000 things for the DC animated universe, and he always continues to bring his Batman voice back. And he can't do his Batman unless he's partnered up with his Joker, that being Mr. Luke Skywalker, otherwise known as Mark Hamill. And Mark Hamill definitely delivers some great Joker stuff because he does this a lot.
Mark Hamill is my celebrity crush.
He's really good. He's really, really
What's
good.
with the British accent, though?
I couldn't tell you. Also, but that's with TV world. In movie world, we have one of the most recent Batmans, Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck was kind of Batfleck. He was kind of laughed at in his 2 films, or 3 actually. He played it in the DCEU Extended Universe.
That's because he's an older Batman and he kills.
Well, the thing also is that Affleck himself is actually one of the few actors to play both Superman and Batman. He played Batman officially, and then he also played George Reeves, the actor who played Superman in the 1950s, in a film called Hollywoodland. So technically that counts as him playing Superman and Batman. I think he does get a little bit of a bad rep, but he does have some good lines, like this one.
You and you. I thought yours was you.
That's Superman and Batman talking about Wonder Woman when she first appears in her first appearance in the DCEU.
I don't think you guys know this, but today is actually Michael Keaton's birthday.
Well, happy birthday, Michael Keaton! Yes, we love you, Mike.
And also for Daniel, happy birthday to the worst James Bond as well, George Lazenby.
Okay, yeah, we'll give George Lazenby a round of applause. Hey, you know who that stars as well?
Oh,
not Donald Pleasance, not even Charles Gray. But Telly Savalas is in that. So, and then, so finally,
I don't think Ben Affleck did a bad job.
No.
Not as good, but he held his own.
Right. And I finally want to wrap this up with 2 very interesting choices for 2 characters. One, we have a Joker film coming up starring Joaquin Phoenix. Very interesting.
Getting good reviews, reactions.
Yeah. we're gonna see how that plays out. And then we also have Robert Pattinson of Twilight films.
As long as the bat suit doesn't start sparkling in the sun.
Good idea.
No, and I'm not a big fan of the rumors of Pierce Brosnan being Alfred Pennyworth.
Yeah, let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Quick thing though, and
Yeah.
try to stay optimistic. People thought Michael Keaton was gonna fail.
This is true.
People
we talked about this.
thought
Downey Jr.
Yep.
That's Iron Man, yeah.
People thought a lot of superheroes were gonna fail, but let's see what happens with Pattinson.
And you know,
Let's
they
see.
in the Batman universe, there's even been spin-off films like this Joker film, the god-awful Halle Berry Catwoman film, Suicide Squad. There's been 1,000 of them.
I do know Pattinson is a good actor because he's been in other movies besides Twilight. and
Exactly.
So
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Let's give him a chance.
Yeah. So I think we've talked a lot about Batman today. I think we covered a lot of good points. If there's anything we've forgotten, we'll probably mention it at the beginning of the show. I know Casey mentioned to me at the end of the show last week that with our time capsule shows, Happy Days was the setting for a music video called Buddy Holly by the band Weezer. Excellent song, excellent video. Check it out. It's on YouTube. You'll love it, and you'll be jamming along with me. So I want to thank Dylan for coming on. Thank you, Dylan.
You're welcome. Batman, you still good?
I'm good. Casey, thank you for coming on.
I just want to watch the world burn.
There you go. That's just strange. And Christy, of course, thank you for doing the rant and for coming on.
Welcome.
All right. And guys, we'll be back next week for some great fun for talking about movies and TV. I'm not sure what we're going to do. Maybe we'll switch gears into TV. So, until then, my name is Daniel. This has been As the Reel Turns. We're doing the night shift, so we're going to end with the theme from Night Court. We will see you next time. This is WKNH 91.3.
Not a big fan of my rant, but
Everybody wave to the fans. Hello, fans.
There are people in there?
Yeah, there are people in there.
Oh, wait, there's a computer there. Huh.
like we actually watched that clip, and